Hello guys, and welcome to another edition of Rage Against the Dice. Today we're doing something a little bit different, and we're looking at the top 5 games that you should be playing in 2021. Now this is my personal opinion. It's not the opinion of any of the other guys on the channel. It's just something that I wanted to do. These are games that I'm excited by. Hopefully you guys will want to check them out as well. I will put the links to them all in the description. The first one, of course, as you can see there on the screen, is Blood Bowl. Now Blood Bowl is possibly my favourite Games Workshop game ever. I've been playing it since I was 11 years old. God, yes, I am super old. Back when the board was actually made of polystyrene and came in 4 parts. It was absolutely awesome. And it's something I've played, off and on ever since, trying to get my friends hooked wherever possible. Now, there's currently a new season, and with that, the rules have been sort of refined a little bit. They play a lot better, if I'm honest. You also get 2 new starter teams within that, which is a Black Oak team and a Human Noble team, which kind of replaces the old Bretonian team, in a sense. Obviously, a lot of the other teams have been reworked as well. And as you can see, here's the website here. You can have a look. There's some videos on there. There's, like some articles. There's downloads, which isn't the full rules, but it gives you free rules samples, I believe, and it also gives you the rosters and things like that. And there's a load of other junk, but I mean, you guys know what Blood Bowl is. We'll go across very quickly to Games Workshop's website, where you can buy Blood Bowl. Of course, you can pick it up from third-party stockists and such. But it's going to set you back £85 if you're going to buy it direct from Games Workshop. I believe some of the bigger stores even have it in store, so you can go into town and pick it up. Now, what is Blood Bowl? Now, for anybody who's been living under a rock their whole life and they don't know what Blood Bowl is, I'm really sorry about that, guys. You've been missing out. But what Blood Bowl is it's a tactical miniatures game played in the guise of a sports game, more specifically American football, or almost rugby-ish. And the game is played over 16 turns, where 2 players play off against one another. One per team is the attacking team, the other is the defending team. Once you score, or it's the end of the half, it then switches over to the other person. And as I said, it's 16 turns, so it's 2 halves of 8, of course. And it's set all around the Warhammer world, like the old world. So you've got Skaven and Orcs and Halflings, and you've got a Goblin team, and so on and so forth. Elves, of course, there's lots of elves, and each team plays very differently. Your Skaven team being a very quick running team, your human team being they're good at everything. Oh, sorry, they're not good at everything, but they're not bad at everything. They're like your middle of the road team. Elves very good at passing, dwarves very slow but very good at hitting things. And through that you'll find a team that really works for you. Now each of the teams is around about £25, I think. Let's have a quick look down here, see if it actually shows you, which of course it doesn't, because that would be far too helpful. Thank you, Games Workshop, and the way you set up. Luckily, their website itself isn't too hard to maneuver. I just really like the word. Yeah, and Blood Bowl is my top pick. I think anybody could really get in on Blood Bowl. You don't have to be a sports fan. Also, your team set you back about £26 if you're going to buy them direct from Games Workshop. And as you can see, some of them are direct only, but others you'll be able to pick up in larger Games Workshop stores. So, that's my first game. It's one of my favourite games, as I said, of all time, but it's certainly my favourite Games Workshop game of all time. With the starter set, which is way back, you get your board, you get your dice, you get your dugouts, and you get 2 teams and the rulebook. If, however, you didn't want any of that stuff, if you didn't want the 2 starter teams, you can pick up teams separately and buy all the accessories. And as you can see these here, dice are going to set you back like £9 for a set. You can get the different boards for £28. And the balls that you use to play the game come on the sprues for the team, so you get very specific ones for your teams. All in all, however you want to do it works best for you. As I said, you could just pick up dice, the pitch, and a team separately, and then if your friend does the same, you've got more than enough to be getting going. So the next game we're going to look at, let's move away from this, is still staying within the realm of sports, and you knew this game was going to feature in this list because it's one of the most popular games on our channel. and that's Rumbleslam, and it's made by TT Combat. It is a fantasy-based wrestling game, as you can see there, and it's now on its second edition, much like Blood Bowl's now Season 2, even though it's the 6th or 7th incarnation. This is the second edition of Rumbleslam, and despite the fact that they've maybe changed the cards in a way that I'm not a big fan of, I think everything else is pretty swish. So we're going to go across, and you can see that the starter set is a lot cheaper for this, but you do get less models, and these models are resin. It's a two-player starter set for £45. It gives you a mat, the dice, the cards, the template, the tokens, and 2 teams, which is a human team and an orc team, essentially, which each comes with 1 big guy, 2 medium guys, and 2 small guys. Now, this is based around pro wrestling. Anybody who knows me knows I absolutely adore pro wrestling, and I have done my whole life. I'm fully aware it's fake, you don't need to say it in the comments, but when I watch a Hollywood movie, I don't go, oh, I can't get into this because I know the actors. I suspend my disbelief for the purposes of the entertainment, and my god is it hard to get entertainment out of pro wrestling in current day. Hopefully now fans are back. That'll change, but that's a whole different rant. But yes, so the models themselves are made out of resin, and it's 2 teams, anything up to 4 teams, but as a basic game is 2 teams facing off against each other, trying to pin or throw your opponents over the rope until one team is fully eliminated. And anybody who watches our channel knows just how much I love this game. It says here that it takes around about 45 minutes. I would say that's probably accurate. We've played games that took as little as 20 minutes, and we've played games that lasted as long as 2 hours. And it all depends on the size, of course. And once again, you can get yourself a load of different teams, like you can for Blood Bowl. Now, the teams... That's pretty cool, actually. I've not seen that before. The teams are going to set you back sort of between £22 to £25, I believe. And then you can get like star players, like you can for Blood Bowl, which are dedicated players. No, so yeah, between 22 to 25. So yeah, you can do it both ways, exactly the same as you can with Blood Bowl. You can buy yourself a team, get the dice, get the tokens, and get the rulebook separately. Or you can buy the starter set. I do believe the starter set, much like I do the Blood Bowl one, is fantastic value for money. So it's entirely up to yourself. Now we're going to move away from sports now, because I've talked about sport a lot for a nerd who doesn't really like sports. And the next one is Last Days Zombie Apocalypse. Now again, this is a tabletop miniatures game, as all 5 of these are. It's published by Osprey Publishing, but the cool thing about it is it's actually written by Ash Barker. Now, any of you who have lived under a rock, like with the Blood Bowl thing, don't know who Ash Barker is. He runs a YouTube channel, a very famous one, called Gorilla Miniatures. I think it's called Gorilla Miniatures Wargaming, or Gorilla Miniatures Games. I'll put the link in the description, of course I will. But he covers all the games. If you think we cover a lot of games, God, we are nothing compared to this guy. And I believe there's one expansion pack for it so far, which is called Seasons. Now, I know what you're thinking, Kevin, that's all very well and good. I can see there you can get the book for £20 or £14 for the PDF. But what actually is it? Well, it's a zombie survival horror tabletop skirmish miniature game. You build yourself a faction based around your leader, and your leader can be one of 3 traits. And we're going to do a video on it separately because I'm that excited on it. That I'm not going to go into too much detail, but depends on your type of leader, depends the type of people you can hire. And it's all about surviving in a world where there's a zombie apocalypse. Of course, you've seen us play other games, Project Z, The Walking Dead All Out War. Of all of the different games we played, this is my favourite rule set, it really is. I would suggest picking up just the PDF to have a read through it and see if you like the look of it. But I certainly do. As I said, I don't want to give too much attention to it here because I'm going to do a separate video on it where we have a look through the rulebook, how to build up your starting group of survivors, and then we're going to play some games of it. So if you like zombie games and you like skirmish games, definitely check it out. They don't have any dedicated miniatures, I will just say that. However, you can use any survivor models from any miniatures range in the world. So Studio Miniatures, they got you back. Warlord Games, if you can pick up any of their old Project Z stuff, they got you back. Mantic and their All Out War series, you know what? They got your back. If you own Zombicide, Zombicide's got your back. What I'm saying is you can use any miniatures from anywhere. There was a time when I would have said order from Hassle-Free Miniatures, but I know they've been having a lot of problems recently, so it might be worth holding off on that. But there's a load of different sites out there, as you guys know, and feel free actually in the comments to recommend some that I haven't already said. I will post as many links as I can remember, but there's so many out there. Feel very free to pop your own in the comments. No, I know links aren't normally allowed in the comments, but post them and I'll pass them through, because they'll basically go to one side for me to check, and I'll say, yep, they're cool, Ganon, fill your boots. So the fourth one is another Osprey published game called Stargrave. Now anybody who's ever played Frostgrave will know the rule set, but this is basically the futuristic set in the future version of this. So it's sci-fi, essentially. Now, I really love sci-fi, as you guys know. You've heard me talk about Star Trek, you've heard me talk about Star Wars, you've heard me talk about Babylon 5. I'm not going to list all the different sci-fis that I follow, because I'll be here all day. But you guys, throughout different videos, have heard me pop different ones in. Of course, I love 40k, and 40k itself is in the 40k is in a sci-fi universe. Now, this is a very basic skirmish, not very basic, sorry, that's the wrong choice of words. It's a science fiction war game, which is a skirmish game. You have 10 models, which you can build up from any ranges in the world, and they do have their own models through North Star. You may remember me talking about them when I was talking about Dracula's America, another game that really only just didn't make this list, and that's only because the final game that I'm going to talk about. But yeah, so if you want to pick up the hardback book, which is gorgeous by the way, it's £25, and you can get the PDF for £17.50. Both myself and Liam have both, and I think the rest of the guys just went for the PDF. But yeah, it definitely is a pretty cool game. And again, I don't want to go too much into it like Last Days, because I'm going to do a separate video on it. I know, spoilers. But yeah, I want to cover it in a lot more detail in the exact same way I'm going to do with Last Days. We're going to look at the book itself, then we're going to look at how to build a crew, because that's what your 10 models are, they're a crew, and then we're going to play some games of it. If no one else does, myself and Liam will, but I'm very confident at least Sparks and Vince will get in on this, and hopefully Nate and that other guy Alan will too. But yeah, so it does have its own backstory, it has its own world, and we are going to go into it in a lot more detail. If you want to check it out, again, the link's going to be down below, and it will give you a lot of information there, but I'm going to read you a little bit. So, in Stargate, players take on the role of one of the independent operators chosen from a range of backgrounds, each with their own strengths, weaknesses, and associated powers, and then next players must hire a crew for that ship, recruiting a lieutenant with a unique skill set and a handful of soldiers, mechanics, hackers, and other specialists. Some captains may even recruit strange alien life forms with abilities no humanoid could ever possess. So yeah, so it runs very much like a role-playing game in the way you do things, and what you choose impacts what you can take and things like that. And as I said, I do want to cover it in a lot more detail, but it is a must, I think. What we're going to do is we're going to have a very quick look at the models. So here you can see North Star military figures. All the prices I'm showing you, other than the last game, are all in pounds. Obviously, your different countries will differ. Now, the game uses D20s, as you can see here, and you can get yourself a pack of 10 for £5, or you can pick them up from, your local places. I think the nearest place to me is either Forbidden Planet or Travelling Man, but you can pick them up in most little independent stockists, or you can pick them up online. D10. Oh, sorry, not D20s. D10, sorry. No, it is D20s. What am I on about? It's D20s, but you get 10 in a set. I cannot English today. And then you've got the different sets at £25 for the rulebook, as I said, and then you get the crew sets of either a crew or mercenaries for £20 each, or the Stargrave troopers at £20. You get a set of old rogues at £18. But this is another game like Last Days where you can use anything. So if you've got the Star Trek miniatures by Modiphius, boom, Modiphius got your back. If you've got Fallout miniatures again from Modiphius, again, they've got your back. If you've got old Starship Trooper models going all the way back to Mongoose Publishing, they got your back. You've got Judge Dredd models for Warlord, they got your back. You've got 40k models, they got your back, etc, etc. You understand what I'm saying. You can use any models you want in this bad boy. You want to use Neanderthal models from Savage Core. Do it. It's absolutely fine. The way you build, obviously, your crew, there's different things you can choose. It looks like an awesome game. We haven't played any games of it physically yet, but from reading the rules and watching some playthroughs, it's a game I'm super excited for. And you guys know I don't use the word excited lightly. I'm excited for it. So the last game is a game that we've covered extensively on the channel, and we are about to cover even more extensively on the channel. And that's A Song of Ice and Fire. And this is the game, as I was saying, that pushed Dracula's America out of my top 5. And it's not because I don't want to play Dracula's America, because we're still going to do that. But this is such a fantastic game. It really is. Unlike the other games that we've talked about, which are either sports games or skirmish games, they're very small scale. This is a large scale fantasy battle game based around A Song of Ice and Fire. Specifically the books. So you're not going to see anybody looking like Peter Dinklage or anything like that from the TV show. Of course there is crossovers in terms that a lot of what happens in the books also happens in the TV shows, because they're adapted. That's obviously going to be a thing, but this is specifically licensed around the books themselves. And you can download the PDF for free, I will just say that. And there's an app, and the app will show you all the cards and stuff like that. And there you go, you've got a lot of things you can now download, because the new sets of cards are all out, the 2021 ones, as you can see here. You can get the tactics cards, you can get the erratas, you can get the rulebook, different scenarios and campaigns and such like that. And obviously it's based around the houses, and as you can see here, we're going to go through each one you can get. So there's House Greyjoy, House Targaryen, House Baratheon, House Lannister, the Night's Watch, the Free Folk, and then House Stark. Now I play House Stark. Nate's son has Baratheons, Sparks has Lannisters, Liam has Night's Watch and House Greyjoy, Nate has Targaryens, Sparks has Tree Folk, as well as I said, the Lannisters. Tree Folk, Free Folk even. So we've got, and I have Lannisters as well. So we've got them, all the factions covered amongst us. And then obviously you get neutral stuff like the House of Bolton. But yeah, so it is a large scale miniatures game, and the starting set, it's $149.99 if you're going to buy it direct from Asmodee, or I think you can get it in the UK for about $100-105 at the minute, depending where you get it from. And the starter set comes with a shed load of miniatures. It sounds like a lot of money, but it is really worth it for what you get. So the way the game plays is you've got two sides, and I think it can be played with more, but we've only ever played it with two sides, and you each have, you know, a full army with units. So you have a tray of models, and that tray of models represents, you know, a unit on the battlefield, and as models die you take them out. Very similar to Warhammer Fantasy Battles. But where this game differs is it also has a political aspect, where you have like the political board off to the side, and you can place NPCs on there. So, or you know, characters who aren't going to take part in the battle. So the likes of your Sansa Starks and your Daenerys and things, who aren't necessarily going to be on the battlefield, still have a miniature, and they're still represented, and they're absolutely fantastic. The models themselves, they're all one-piece models, which is beautiful, and they look gorgeous, but they're an absolute nightmare to paint because, as I said, they're one piece, so there's no part assembly here. But yeah, you guys have seen, we've covered this a lot in the past. But yeah, so where all the other games, as said, are very quick skirmish games, this is an epics battle game, and it is going to take you a long time to play a game. I think it says here between 45 to 60 minutes, and that is utter BS. I mean, maybe once you've got the rules down, you could just at a push play it in under an hour, unless you table someone pretty quickly. You're realistically looking at between an hour and a half to 3 hours, depending on the size game you play. But yeah, so it works very much. You activate, they activate, back and forth. You get tactics cards which you can play, which, again, very characterful, but it changes, you know, the whole dynamic. of how it plays sometimes, and the way. So, for instance, your Starks, they've got, you know, a variety of leaders, and each one changes how that whole army plays. Not drastically, of course, you know, it's not, you know, to the point that suddenly the Starks are using, you know, different troops from a Lannister list or anything like that. It's not that complex, but it does change, you know, the cards that you can use and the way that they play and things like that. So picking who leads your army is really important. As said, because it's just had an update, we are going to do a video in the near future, which is a sit-down video, which will be myself, Liam, Nate and Sparks, where we talk about some of the updates from 2021. We're going to look at the cards, and we're going to run through changes and how some things which are made better and some things that are made worse. But yes, this is getting a bit of a long video. As said, I will post all the links in the description below, so you guys have plenty to be poring over. But they're my top 5 games of 2021. That's not to say I'm not going to play other games. Of course I am. But Blood Bowl, Rumbleslam, Last Day Zombie Apocalypse, Stargrave, and Song of Ice and Fire are my 5. You've got 2 sports-based games, one an American football game, one a wrestling game. You've got a zombie skirmish game, you've got a sci-fi skirmish game, and then you've got a pitch battle game. All within there. Yeah. So what I would like to do now is put it over to you guys and let me know what 5 games you are looking forward to in 2021. Post it in the comments. Let me know if you've got back to actually gaming yet, because of course we've been under lockdown for a year, so we haven't been able to game. So yeah, this is me just saying, let me know what yous are doing. Are yous playing games? Are you excited to be playing games? Are your games club even open yet? Because I know a lot haven't. Have you played any of these 5 games that I'm talking about? Do you intend to? Give us a like, give us a subscribe. As I said, check all the links in the description below. Check all the links for our social medias. Of course, we've got a load of different things going on. If you want to see what Nate's painting, and it's his Song of Ice and Fire stuff mainly, you can check it out on there. If you want to see what Sparks is painting, you can check that out on Twitter. If you want to see what Alan had for lunch, he's going to be posting that on Instagram. So yeah, you can find us all on there somewhere. Yeah, give us a like, give us a subscribe, follow, all that business, hit the bell for notifications, and as always, pretty dice gods, hope they smile upon you, and take care guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Toodles.